You're listening to From a Certain Point Askew, the only Star Wars podcast. Who gives a shit? I'm Jason, the Angry Ginger Jedi Guy. I am broadcasting live from inside a bottle of Wookiee Poo Studios Spotchka. I wish I was alone. And the time that was taken from me, I wish I had it back. Thank you, Matt. But we'll get to that in a few. There's some more blah, 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 some stupid shit. Darth Matthews.
This is going to be a really short episode, isn't it?
If I have my way, yeah. Like all day long, the blood boil. It kept getting worse and worse to the point where I was tweeting about it by the end. And then you were like, what was that? I said I quit, and you told me I couldn't, or you sent some gif out I saw like an hour or two ago. If I didn't love podcasting so much, I would walk away.
So you're saying this has been a catastrophic exercise for you?
Shut up. Don't even talk to me. Like, I feel like that cover where Peter Parker's walking away from the Spider-Man suit in the trash. Like, it's just like, I'm fucking done. Like, I can't do it.
It's not going to be long. We got to this episode and next week, and then we can move on to other things.
All right.
But we're committed. If you would like to find our show from acertainpointaskew.com, we're on Twitter at FACPA Pod.
Mm-hmm.
We're also on Threads at FACPA Pod.
Are we really?
Just going to tease that. Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
All right.
And you can email the show, facpapod@gmail.com. So, short show today. What's on it?
I don't know, but I've got a beer in my hand, and I've sent my girlfriend out for whiskey because I said I can't do this without fucking... Like, I wasn't kidding. Like, I'm fucking so done with this Kaz is the worst character that's ever been created. He's not even Bugs Bunny. That's not fair to Looney Tunes, to Mel Blanc, and everyone else. I'm so fucking fed up with this moron. What's on the show today? We've got news. I hope it's everything but Resistance. Twitter Wars 2023. I don't know what this is, but I'm excited about it because it's more than Resistance. In the Ahsoka teaser, is this the teaser about the teaser that we were going to have a teaser that I've still never seen? Correct.
No teaser exists.
Okay. All right.
Well, or has been released.
And then we're going to spend about 4 to 5 minutes on Star Wars Resistance episode or season 2, 1 through 9, and we still got only one email in the Maul Bag.
Just one.
After my rant, the listeners didn't come through.
I guess you needed to do it earlier in the day. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no question of the week. I didn't get around to it. Holiday weekend and all that, so didn't have time. But
that's all right.
I wanted to talk about the news. And so, okay, so before I go into this, just know that we will route back to Star Wars at the end of this. So your boy, Elon Musk, he just keeps destroying Twitter on a daily basis, and it's really getting on my tits. Never mind the gross miscalculation of I'm just going to not give a fuck about advertising because I hate advertisers anyway, and I'm just going to get everybody to sign up for the service subscription-based, and that'll be fine. That'll totally work out. Yeah, that's not working.
Okay.
Never mind all the trolling he does daily with his fucking tweets. I mean, he's constantly on a wind-up.
I love that he's a billionaire, and he's like, and everyone's gonna hate us or hate me for saying this, but he's one of us. Like, all he does is fucking send out
He's
gifts,
a shit poster.
and he's fucking. I love it. I love it. I love it that he just is like $44 billion on this app. He's fucking just having a good time.
Literally got talked into it. Like, you should buy Twitter. Okay. So now, how do you feel about him? Because over the weekend, he drops this stink bomb on us on Saturday and is like, hey, by the way, we're gonna curb what they call it, a rate limiting of your tweets. You can only see a certain number of tweets per day. This fucked you up on Saturday because all of a sudden you were out of tweets like that.
But when I looked up his tweets, he said this was just until whatever his tweet was like, this is a
temporary.
A momentary thing, a temporary, yes, is what he said. Mm-hmm. So I had it happen to me 2 or 3 times that day, and I've never had it happen since.
Well, I never have had it happen, but he threw it out there, and the whole thing behind this was it's in the name of like making sure that AI companies aren't stripping his data and using it for their own purpose. That's the reason why he's doing it. And you know how I feel about AI, so I'm not going to side with AI here.
Right.
However. It's just him trying to get dough for his data, and fine. But the other thing is that it's really just seems like a driver to get more people to sign up for the subscription service and get verified. I mean, I don't use TweetDeck a ton, but he got rid of that, or it's going away. I think it.
TweetDeck has been gone for a while. I just read the other day they were bringing a whole new version. They were bringing a new version of TweetDeck back.
Oh, I used it not that long ago. But he was saying that they were going to remove access to it unless you were a verified account.
Were you using TweetDeck on your phone or your computer?
Computer.
Okay, it was still you could still use it on your computer. Your phone, you could not use it at all. And I don't think anybody, if you had like a grandfathered version, is how I remember this a couple years ago, because I was using it on an old laptop and I could use it too. But yeah, it was because I don't think originally I think TweetDeck was like third party.
I thought that's what it was too, and then they brought it inside. So yeah,
yes.
I mean, and I don't use it a ton. It's almost almost use it more like on a day where something big's happening, and I want to monitor several feeds at the same time. So it's not constant, but it's just it's like every little thing he can do to like get money out of it. And I get it; he's trying to make money.
I was going to say he was forced to put $44 billion into this. Like, I can roll around for a year or two and let him figure it out.
He stepped in it and made himself beholden to that $44 billion.
Yeah,
it wasn't like somebody forced him to do it. And well, then also, like, was it yesterday or today? I was looking at our site from a certain point skew.com, and it's got through Libsyn, and it has a Twitter widget. That's not working. Is that something? I don't know. I don't want to be conspiracy theorist, but all of a sudden that's not working. So I'm just not real happy with him. But I mean, the other thing is that a lot of people use this stuff for like weather reports, emergency updates. People obviously use it for their businesses, whatever the case may be. So it's hurting them. And the biggest thing I think that has allowed him to just do whatever he wants to do is because there's just no good alternative. I have tried other things. I've tried Mastodon. It's not great. It's pretty crap. I have tried Hive. It's okay. It's not great. There's what's the other one I tried? I can't remember. Maybe Blue Sky.
Parler? Did you go to Parler?
I did not go to Parler, no. Yeah, I went to Parler. No.
Oh, I would have fucking been so giddy if you had. Like it was a trap. I didn't realize it was all red.
Yeah, right. No, and so who steps in to try? Who steps into the ring? Heyo, Zucker Nerd. So this is the perfect thing to happen because one, I've set us up with a Threads account, which is what that new service is.
And it's based off of Instagram, right?
Yeah, you can essentially go through Instagram and set it all up so it brings all your shit over, your bio, the people you follow. So when they join, then you can follow them, all this kind of stuff. Okay. So it's useful. It has a Twitter feel to it, but it's very much not as functional as Twitter. Like the search shit doesn't work very well. It's just not as fully fleshed out, you know? Okay. I don't, by the way, you would think that all the Twitter people that he canned some of them would have gotten to Meta and been like, okay, let's build Twitter. Let's rebuild Twitter, this other version. Oh shit. And I'm kind of surprised it took this long for it to come around.
I would imagine there's got to be a non-compete though, right?
There's probably a non-compete. I don't know how extensive that goes.
Well, I think it goes like you cannot go
recreate Twitter. However, what can you protect there? I mean, obviously there's certain things you could do, but like how far does that extend? You can't just say you can't build a social media platform where people can communicate with each other. How do you do that? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Yeah. But I was thinking, okay, so this is not great, but a lot of people are joining. Like 10 million people joined yesterday or whatever. So a ton of people.
It's like Google Plus. It's not. I'm sorry to say, and if I'm wrong, Twitter's not going anywhere.
And that's fine. That's my ultimate goal. I don't want Twitter to go away. I want to continue to use Twitter. I've used it for 15 fucking years, Jay. Yeah. But the thing is, they need somebody who's a threat enough to get him to stop, doing some of his bullshit things.
When does Homegirl take over as the CEO? Like officially? It was like 6 months when they signed her on, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. Didn't she come from advertising? And yet she's not embracing.
Well, I don't think she's officially like on Twitter yet. I think there was like a 6 month before she was officially taking over as CEO.
Okay, so he's just farting all over that elevator before she gets on.
Well, maybe, but also, I mean, it doesn't bother me as much when he's tinkering, when like something happens and then it goes away. Sure. Like as long as like he's seeing what works or what doesn't or what's capable. And I know like at some point he's going to add, like he created PayPal. He's one of the creators of PayPal. Mm-hmm. And I know like his end result is like he wants to add that into Twitter. So like once they do and that works, there's no other app you need to go to. You're on Twitter, you're talking to people, it's Venmo, it's PayPal, it's everything in one. Everything you want to do is just going to be on Twitter. Like I think if he gets there and he works out these kinks, but who knows? I mean, part of the fun is just going on and seeing like, oh, what's he fucking up now? I love it.
It's made me like when it first happened and all the tweet, rate limit thing happened, I was being real cautious with what I actually went and looked at. I was like, am I going to hit that goddamn rate limit? And then he did the whole like, now you can go outside and like spend time with your family. Fuck off. That's not why you did that. Yeah, I mean, that's not why you did that. You're not doing it because you want people to go out and spend time with their family, you cunt.
I feel like he's just losing sleep and hasn't left the Twitter offices in I don't know how long. And like he just like he's living in a boardroom because no one uses it anymore. And he's like, I got a great idea, but he's so sleep deprived. Like he's probably barely speaking English at this point.
How do you work as his crew underneath, like the crew that's right underneath him that he's spitballing ideas to? They must be like, do we take this seriously? Like, how far do you want us to go with this, dude?
Well, there's got to be a little bit of protection at this point because it's like there's nobody else he can get rid of.
Right.
So, a little bit of job security.
That's true. But every time he throws something out there, got to be like, you want us to limit how many tweets people can see? That's not good.
I think that was just and it was temporary. I don't think that lasted 24 hours because I saw later on in the afternoon, like the amount. Like,
he jumped up the amount, but isn't that limit still technically in place? I haven't experienced it, but
I haven't. Like I'm on Twitter all the time. Like I get 12 and a half hours a day to kill, and I'm tweeting, scrolling, or whatever, and I haven't seen it since that one day.
It's because you've always spoken so nicely about him. That's why you've got a special clause.
Yeah, huge fan of the billionaires.
How does this affect us from a Star Wars perspective? Well, allegedly, the rumors are that so on Saturday that Essence conference or whatever you want to call it event,
which I've never heard of,
happened in New Orleans, and they were doing a big thing about the Haunted Mansion, and there's literally video, like I think it's like Saturday morning, of them saying, oh, and there's stuff coming later in our like Disney showcase, and there's going to be some things, maybe another thing that Rosario's in, and she's sitting there kind of smiling about it.
Yeah.
So they had the plan to share that out, and then they freaking scuttled it because of the Twitter thing. Because they were like, the buzz will be limited because people will only be able to see a certain amount.
Right.
And this thing isn't going to go freaking viral on Twitter and be like, in everybody's feed.
That's amazing how important this broken down app is.
I know. It's a huge feeder.
Where Disney decides to pull back on their release,
right?
Because the world isn't going to see this,
right? Because Facebook continues to be a big site that people. I don't use Facebook really at all. YouTube, of course, but a lot of the driving traffic to YouTube is from Twitter,
right,
or Facebook. And so if that's not there to point people to it, you'll miss it completely. And I think that was their concern. So they're like, let's pump the brakes on this. And I'm hoping it comes out this weekend. We'll see.
Well, it was smart to do because we've discussed this before, but their marketing has been very limited. Like for us who pay attention to Lucasfilm, who does a Star Wars podcast, we pick up on all this. But like for the everyday person who's just like, who needs to be hit up with this marketing stuff, they don't know that Ahsoka's coming out. They don't know what this is.
Right.
So they really do. And that one hit, that one day, that one release where it just blows up everywhere, that's going to save them millions of dollars doing it that way.
Yeah, you're just trying to find eyeballs, not the ones that are necessarily searching for it. Maybe they just stumble onto it. I mean, how many times do you see shit on Twitter, trending on Twitter, and go, oh, what's that about? Click.
You think Disney's like, all right, we're going to go in on this Twitter business.
Next thing you know, they're buying it.
They're going to put Kathleen Kennedy on the board.
Oh, God. Could you imagine her and Elon together? Ooh.
Yeah, here's 20 billion. We're going halvesies.
That's the cage match I want. Kathleen Kennedy and Elon Musk.
When you sign into Twitter, it's the fucking, just that little star that goes over the Disney castle, but it goes over the bird.
I do still want that cage match between Zucker Nerd and Elon, though. That'll be fun.
Oh my God, I have that in my notes for 7 Days a Geek. I fucking hope that happens.
Well, because wasn't there a whole thing where like Elon's mom said she was trying to like calm it down or something? But I think it's still on the table.
She told him he can't fight. But then did you see that? I have a clip waiting for the 7 Days a Geek news portion where it's Dana White. He's like, I've talked to both of them on the phone. This is happening.
Oh boy.
I'm like, what?
It is going to be absurd.
What is this insanity?
And I love it. They're both like, we're both trained in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Okay. We'll see how this plays out. We've been doing it
for 2 years.
Oh my God.
But Elon Musk has got what, 50 pounds at least on Zuckerberg?
Oh, he's way bigger than Zuckerberg.
Yeah. And I think he's on that Ozempic now, so he's taken off that baby fat he put on.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but like you put a 44 or a billionaire that lost $44 billion in the ring, he needs to rip someone's head off. And that fucking C-3PO robot is not going to stand a chance.
But no, here's the only reason why I think Zuckerberg
I'm putting all
my
Bitcoin on fucking Elon Musk.
I'm putting my Dogecoin on Zuckerberg. No, the reason why I think he's got a shot is, one, I'm assuming he's going to be a little faster. I still think that Elon's a little doughy. And then two is, look at that dude's eyes, Zuckerberg. Like, I could just see him just being in a no-quit mode, Terminator mode.
He hasn't eaten 48 days.
Yeah, he'll do something like that to himself just to be like, I'm going to kill him.
The bodies are in the Facebook warehouse.
They need an undercard for that. I'm not sure who it is, but let's get one going.
I think Bezos is standing by.
Oh, man. Didn't he turn into like a workout dude? Isn't he like all freaking?
Yeah, have you seen him? He is like he is solid. He divorced his woman, got some hot woman that's like 20 years younger. He's walking around like he owns the world, and he does, but... Yeah, like if you take fucking Booksmart, I opened up a library website, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, compared to what he looks like now, they're two different human beings.
Yeah. Let's have Bezos against like Bill Gates in an arm wrestling match.
Oh, yeah. Fucking Bill Gates. He looks like the pregnant man emoji. Have you ever seen that? Have you seen that picture where they take it's him and then the emoji, the pregnant man emoji, and it looks like Bill Gates?
Well, I don't want to end the fun, but it's time to talk about resistance.
Okay.
So, a couple things. I'll start, and then I want you to just go nuts.
I don't know if I can hold it in.
The first half of season 2 has been a little disappointing, Jay. I'm not going to lie. I think we lose BB-8, we lose Poe. They're obviously embroiled in stuff that's happening in episodes 7, 8, 9. We'll talk about how that whole tie-in thing happens in a minute.
Will we?
We will.
Do we have to?
We're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to walk through this whole thing. You have to discuss this. You can say whatever you want.
I can't.
But you have to discuss this.
I can wrap this whole thing. Give me 15 minutes and we can shut this shit off.
Okay, go.
Really?
No, I'm not. We're not going to shut the whole thing off, but I'm going to try to bring you back a little bit. So you go ahead.
You can't. This show is stupid. Okay, look, we're supposed to come back to the darkness. This show's supposed to be more adult. Oh, we're going to get something out of this. All we have is, oh no, our spaceship is the goddamn lost island that just appears somewhere, and then they have to fucking find a way to fix it and vamp out before and the Empire finds them in every episode. Every episode. They're in all of space, and they get found every fucking time. There's some goddamn alien woman that fucking like everyone died, but it's just me. And then you got goddamn green face fucking alien boy who brings her back and falls in love with her, and she's all but like pulling her pants down, and he's like, oh, I don't even understand. I'm sorry, but he's a little bit burgery, right? And he can't read the room, nor can he read fucking like facial expressions. And she's just trying to sell him the signal. And by the end, she's like, oh, and then she has to give this narration off like after she disappears. I hope you understand who I am and why I'm doing this. Yeah, you got some fucking trauma. Good for you. And then I'm sitting here and I'm watching the next episode, and this poor fuckface, Kaz, let's talk about this Chaplin slapstick dipshit. He has lost me. At first, it was like, oh, adorable. We're going to, like, this guy has had zero character growth at all. He doesn't belong in the Star Wars. None of this belongs in the Star Wars universe, first of all, right? None of it does. This is fan fiction. This is the 50 Shades of Grey without the sex.
Oh.
You get me? Like the 50 Shades of Grey started off as like Twilight fan fiction, and then this is so ignored. Like if you go on Disney Plus and you want to watch Resistance, and you go down to Disney Originals,
you got to really scroll.
You got to scroll all the way, and then it's on the last page by itself. I'm not kidding you. I did this multiple times to find this stupid ass show. It doesn't even save in my last watching.
It's trying to help you out.
I had to go find it like 3 different fucking times. I'm like, it hates this show as much as I do. This is the redheaded stepchild of fucking Star Wars. Is so neglectful.
This is coming from a ginger.
Yes, I understand. So in 9 episodes, we have a starship that just like shows up in space, and I think we do 2 episodes where they're out in space and shit happens, and they gotta like, oh no, protect the base, and then slide into the freaking airlocks, right? They're little crash land to the base just before they warp speed out of there.
Right.
And then we've got a couple episodes where we're going to send them out to go find food or rations or whatever you want to call it. There's one where they run into Jurassic Park mining world. Yep. And then there's another one where they go, they run into like the Sith base Gravitron with a garbage disposal as a torture device at the end of it, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. And then the woman that they find that's trapped inside of there, she shows up like 2 episodes later, and she's like a gypsy woman that's reading like tarot cards for no reason at all. Didn't even know she went to the Now, I'll be honest. I was not an active watcher this season.
Hold on. What are you talking about reading tarot cards? I think you went too far in the show.
No. At one point, she's on the Colossus, and it opens up with one of the big alien guys, and she tells him that all I see in your future is a bunch of teeth. And he's like, are you telling me that one of the Gorgs, what are those piranha-looking things? That
Did
are always,
I miss something?
They spent a whole episode with this piranha, it jumps around and shit. Remember? It was the BB-8 got into a fight with it in one episode in the last season.
Okay.
And then when it's Trina Flight Pants' freaking birthday, and they're going to have a celebration, they make her a mold cake with this Gorg thing in it.
Oh, right. Right.
And then at the end of the episode, this guy who got his freaking fortune read to him or whatever, his tarot cards, he's like eating his soup, and the piranha comes out of it and attacks him. It's the good luck episode.
I think I missed
the bad luck episode. You didn't miss. It wasn't cards. She was reading some fucking future to him. It was horse shit. And then, okay, so what else happens? This lost me. I was not entertained in anything. Like, I was hoping for, like, you know how we had the one episode where like Poe shows up and they end up on some planet fighting, and you kind of get like don't you get like a little bit of the information of the Starkiller base or something?
Starkiller base. Yeah, because they're coring out those planets.
Yeah, so it ties back into the series in some way or another. So far, we're 9 episodes in, and they've done nothing but the last episode we watched, they have to fly their giant fortress through an asteroid field. Like, why are you sending out 5 ships that are incapable of shooting these rocks when your base can shoot them? But you've got this fucking robot head guy in all their ships. So none of it. This is Raiders of the Lost Ark or Tomb of the Temple of the Doom. Which one's the one where they're like, Indiana Jones never had to be a part of the movie? Because
they always say that's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes, because the plot was going to continue with or without him. So far, this is what the whole season is. Everything that's happening is just going to happen without them.
Okay, couple things. One, I never really am on board with the whole Raiders of the Lost Ark theory, because he plays a role in them finding the Ark and all that kind of stuff. Not to mention, it's not just about him changing the outcome. It's just watching his adventure along with, what happens and him fighting the forces of evil and blah, 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 blah. So I think people get too caught up in if it wouldn't have even changed anything. Okay, fine. But what I'm saying for this is there are some things that tie back to the sequel trilogy. There is the
mention of the Supreme Chancellor?
That, but also in that they're talking, those dudes that are like raiding things for Sith artifacts, that's straight into the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, where he's out trying to find all this shit.
Who is he?
Kylo is always out trying to find. He's trying to find the Wayfinder. He's always trying to find all these Sith artifacts. That's a whole part of it. Yeah,
but he is. We never had any information that he had stormtrooper
raiders,
relic hunters, or relic raiders.
Right. Well, now we do.
I'm waiting for that canon. Okay, here's another thing of neglect. Not one toy has ever existed of any of this, okay? Now, I imagine there's a lot of Star Wars collectors out there that would like a relic hunter stormtrooper. Doesn't exist. Why? No one gives a shit about this show. None of it. No one gives a shit about this show. So I'll tell you what. If I go to a Star Wars convention, I ever see a Kaz cosplayer, I will light them on fire. Nobody likes this. Nobody. Someone defend it. I dare someone to defend it. And you don't get to defend this.
I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just trying to tell you that there are certain aspects of it that were interesting for the overall story. I have not enjoyed the show.
You're pulling at threads. You're like, let me connect something. Look, I'm a big Filoni fan just like you are. So I do feel bad because this is one of Filoni's babies. But I think this is one of Filoni's babies where he accidentally knocked someone up and he had to pay attention, pay a little child support. But he doesn't like this baby.
Get out of here, baby. You get the tie-in to the whole Dakar thing. They show up at Dakar right after all that shit happened, right after Force Awakens happened, and then the beginning of Last Jedi, where they all have to bolt the fuck out. The dreadnought's there that they destroyed. little do they realize the Resistance has just left and is now part of a slow speed chase across the galaxy.
Wait, is this the episode where their mom comes into an X-wing after they fucking haul?
No, that's later. That's later.
Okay.
This is the very beginning of the season. They get to Dakar finally because they're like on the slow road, to Dakar because they don't have hyperspace shit. They don't have coaxium.
Okay,
yet.
yes.
So they roll in there, and that's when they find like the remnants of the Dakar base. And they're like, holy shit, what happened here?
Even Kaz says, that's a really big dreadnought.
Exactly. So that's tied into the movie. So I appreciated that. But then you get like the whole, there's a couple things happen. One, we find out that Kaz's parents are not dead.
Oh, good
they
for
somehow
him.
survived.
Let me tell you what, I found this out on the day, the third anniversary of my dad's death.
Oh, come on.
This motherfucker has his fucking hologram of, I found out my parents are alive. They were on a fucking gambling excursion to Canto Bight or some shit. Fuck them. They should all die. You know what? They should burn the prince.
You're taking it too personally.
Yeah.
Well, my dad's not around anymore, dicks. I was surprised that they were alive, but I love the fact that they're like, hey, can you quit fucking around because you put a target on our back?
Out of all the fucking shit, like the whole Hosnian Prime system is blown up, and then Dad's like, yeah, we're alive, but not really proud of you for joining the Resistance. Like, where do you stand, bro?
So, see, poor Kaz. He doesn't have a family that supports him.
No. Well, then watching him like get electrocuted and skid on his face in the Sith temple. Sorry, you want to go slower.
No. We can blow through this really fast. I am totally fine with that. They have a Top Gun episode, essentially. The episode where he's trying to train the aces and all that shit because they're all like too selfish and racers. They don't give a fuck about each other.
Yeager and
there's a whole wingman issue.
Yeah. Right.
Yeager is basically Viper, and Kaz is kind of Jester. And so they kind of work that angle.
That's
and that gigantic stingray was ridiculous. They called it Jakusk.
Oh,
and the whole time that thing is happening, I'm literally like looking at it going, underbelly. You got to hit the underbelly. Guys, come on. You can't keep doing the same thing.
Yeah, I was too from the minute. Like it's got a hard shell, hit the belly. I was waiting for like them to, you know what? They would have had my respect if they would have had the crocodile, like a guy with an Aussie accent that gets stabbed in the heart by one. Just.
Oh my God. There's your dark.
Right.
Oh man. A Jakusk hunter. But I did sort of like the way they were trying to show like the training of them flying and doing all the shit. Also like kind of juxtaposed with Tam doing her training. And by the way, Tam's doing her training with the TIE fighters and she's kicking ass and everybody's like, well shit. And of course, Elijah Wood's there. What's his name? Rucklin?
Who the blonde German boy?
Dude. Yeah, that's Elijah Wood. And so I love the fact that they're going after it and then they're trying to shoot. I kind of actually like those X-Wing drones they had. Those were kind of cool looking.
Yeah. And then she gets like in trouble and loses her spot because she saved a fellow trooper's life.
She shoots him. I don't think they really mention that. She shoots him because he ducks in front of her. And she shoots him and disables him. And then is like, oh shit, I should probably save him.
Oh, okay.
They never say that. Like she was the cause of him being
They were okay with that. They weren't okay with her saving him.
Yeah, they really don't. The Empire is kind of a bunch, or the First Order is a bunch of pricks. But I kind of like that training sequence a little bit. The thing that I struggle with Tam is there's a lot of Bad Batch stuff going on here. It's a lot of like, we need supplies, we need food, we need fuel. A lot of that storyline happens throughout this. There were like 4 different
clone
episodes.
Talk later on,
Yeah, so there's a lot of that aspect, but done worse.
Mm-hmm.
And the Tam thing is like a poor man's Crosshair situation because Crosshair was cold-blooded and it really took, you get these little hints of him feeling like some sort of connection still to the Bad Batch, but he still was like dedicated to what he was doing and being an evil motherfucker. She's like got one foot out the door the whole way. Like she barely seems like she's interested. As much as she says like, oh, I thought they were my friends and they double crossed me. It's like, no, she doesn't really, I mean, every expression on her face is like, ooh, I don't know if I should be here.
Yeah, this is all out of spite.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a teenager level spite.
Yeah.
But
Spite
with
Tam.
adult repercussions.
That's what we're gonna call her Spite Tam.
Spite Tam. So I've been struggling with because and I'll get to that when we get to the questions at the very end, which will be too soon. Don't worry.
I hope so.
I was kind of pissed to see that BB-8 unit come back. By the way, that BB fucking black robot unit come back.
Yeah, the one that's like hiding in the shadows.
Yes, God, that thing
Gets
was
all
just
murderous.
creepy as fuck. Oh, it's terrible. And he's launched into space. He's still probably alive, the fucker.
I hope so.
Yeah, so I mentioned when they do the fuel run, and that's when they go to that. Oh my God! So they go. This had to be one of your least favorite episodes. It's probably hard to keep them straight.
I think I've already forgot it already.
Okay, this is the one where they go to Dragor 3, and it's Orca and Flix, the two guys that run the parts shop.
Oh, you mean Daddy Longleg Big Bird and his fucking troll friend from Hercules.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And he's like, he shows up and all of a sudden he learns about his stupid ass inheritance, but he's like, hey, I'm just here to like make a deal and get some stuff. And they're like, well, we got an elevator ride. We just finished our mining and our mining equipment's not working. He's like, well, if we get it working, how about we make a deal? But there's a dragon down there. Oh, there's never been a dragon down there. Halfway down the fucking elevator ride, there's dragons released. Like, this is so goddamn convenient. This is like a Golden Book storybook from 1982.
Nice reference. By the way, Flanks, his cousin, voiced by Paul F. Tompkins. You know who he is?
Okay, yeah.
The comedian.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then the other two cousins are voiced by Pete Holmes. You know who Pete Holmes? The comedian, Pete Holmes?
Yeah. He did Crashing on HBO. He's the one that plays Batman in all the College Humor ones.
Oh, does he?
Really seals in the flavor.
I fucking hate him. I fucking hate him.
Do you really?
I listened. So I went back because he has this podcast he's done forever.
Yes.
I can't remember what it's called. But he's talked to everybody. So I was like, cool. Like, I can go back and hear all these interviews. So I went deep and I was listening to it. And as time goes by, I'm just like, I can't stand this guy because he's so like so fucking over animated. And his laugh, everything that's ever said, he goes,
I feel like everyone's listening to this episode right now thinking I'm the Pete Holmes of this podcast.
oh my God, I fucking can't stand him. It drives me insane.
I can see what you're saying, but I think there's funny bits about him. Like he's got the whole stand-up bit about being like, have you ever heard like the way that we're on a planet traveling through space, doing all this? Like he's got this whole bit that just like
I don't think I've heard that one.
The existence is ridiculous the way that he paints it.
Well, he's got a whole religious vibe to him too. He's got a whole spiritual thing going on. Yeah.
Okay.
So he talks all about that. Anyway, I listened to him too much, I think, and I got so sick of his antics and the way he talks to people and how he gets all just fucking stupid. And I'm like, dude, you got to chill the fuck out. So every podcast gets to be eventually. Like I listened to Conan for a long time and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I listened to Dak Shepard for a while, couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, I can't listen to this fucking guy anymore because he drives me nuts. Like I can take him in doses. I can't take him like consistently in that much for over
Is it his kindness? Like Dak Shepard is surprisingly very like kind and introspective and pretty fucking intelligent.
He's a total egomaniac, and I mean many of them are.
Admittedly so, though. Like, it doesn't bother me so much when I hear them admit that their faults. Like, Bert Kreischer, the same way. I hear a lot, like, Grant and Cole both have, like, issues with Bert Kreischer for different reasons.
I heard that.
Where, like, he is my spirit animal. I relate to him on so many levels.
I don't know what it was with Dax. I mean, I didn't really like the gal that was on the show with him either. I can't remember her name. So I just got to a point where it's like, I can't listen to the show anymore at all. It's just driving me crazy. So anyway, all that being said, we can move on. But I had to make a note about people.
That makes me sad because I don't like to hear about listeners of longtime shows like they turn on them because
people probably think that about us.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what bothers me. It's like
Matt just bitches or Jay just bitches. Why don't these two shut the fuck up?
I don't think I always bitch, but I'm never going to not bitch about this show.
Well, of course, and that's fine. You're usually very, very positive on Star Wars. So when shit gets in your craw, you gotta let it out. I get it.
I gotta share it. It's got to be a little entertaining. I feel.
Of course. I was listening to your rant and going, "Am I gonna need to edit this?" Anyway,
we are not done yet.
We did. No, I know you're not. We got, I mentioned it's like food, fuel, all these supplies. They keep going.
Did you notice did you notice when the elevators started dropping? I swear to God, I have to go back and listen to it. But I swear I heard the goofy, yeah. Did you hear that?
From what? No.
When the elevator was dropping in the mine shaft, like they threw in that, it was instead of like the Wilhelm scream, it was like a little goofy, yeah.
I did not hear that. I need to go back.
I heard it, man. I was like, did I just fucking hear Goofy? And then there's another one that had a music cue toward the end of one of the episodes that was like, oh, that they're pulling that from something. But this episode you're talking about, like they steal directly from Jurassic Park. Like the whole, where the dragon, like when the T-Rex comes out in Jurassic Park and he's sniffing him, but he can't see. And then I was like, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, that comes up a lot. All these animation shows that we've watched, they're always borrowing for shit.
I would appreciate it in any other show. It irritated me in this one.
Well, so yeah, then what was the one that I had next? It was they made a supply run. Oh, this is the one you were talking about with the Sith stuff with what was her name? Mika something.
Yes.
So yeah, they go Mika Gray is her name. And yeah, so they go to that planet to get supplies, and it's basically it's
Ghost Town.
Kaz, Tora, and Olga or whatever that Russian.
And those two fucking kids from last season that have been living down in the engineering bay.
The stowaways. And that girl's force sensitive, by the way.
Right. I think that's what they were completely.
That was made evident.
Yep.
Yeah, but I thought that was cool. At least they were kind of doing a little tie to the Force and the temples and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was cool. I thought it was kind of eerie how they landed.
This episode reminded me of the fucking the wannabe Indiana Jones adventure hunter episode in last season of The Bad Batch.
Yeah, I could see that.
With the Power Rangers robot dragon that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it comes out of the. Yep, it was like that because she was an archaeologist, kind of like.
Right.
I'm forgetting what Wanda Sykes' character's name was now, but yeah, similar vibe. And you're right, the Gravitron thing right away. That's what I thought right away. I was like, yeah, I've done this ride at the carnival.
Yeah.
But again, just fucking Kaz just being an idiot. Everything he touches, I mean, this has to drive you crazy. Everything.
Like a human can't move the way this fucking idiot like stumbles into a room. Like, I mean, his feet go over his head. He gets electrocuted at one point and falls on his face, and then the robot like checks on him, and when he looks up at him, he still has like a red electricity.
Yeah.
Like, I get they're trying to sell a point. It's a cartoon, but it's so like it just doesn't fit everything we know about Star Wars. It annoys me. It shouldn't. I know it shouldn't.
Maybe he's more Wile E. Coyote, but he talks.
Oh, someone needs to kill him like he's the Roadrunner. Like, just finish him off.
Oh, then then the one where they go to the casino to get money, essentially, which was kind of a stupid mission anyway. But it's Vranky the Blue.
Tell that to Rainn Wilson or Rain Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson. Right. Good point. I know they even make a reference to it. All the rich folk fled to Canto Bight. He says, Vranky the Blue, who's a Hutt. And I mean, it's just straight out of like, Goodfellas or something.
Did I sleep through this episode?
You don't remember
this?
There was a Hutt? There's a Hutt. You definitely slept in this episode. They go out to this place called, where is it? It's the Vox Cluster, because Hype, the ace pilot says, I used to fly out there and make money. We can make some money. So we're like, okay. So they go to the casino and the Hutt shows up. He's like, welcome to Vranky's Casino. And they go in there and there's people playing. There's barely anybody there, because apparently they've all gone to Canto Bight. And they do this, they set up this race, and Hype races against this, what turns out to be a droid racer, and loses. And so he's like, well, now you're stuck here. And it was for like $25,000. Then they're like, okay, well, you know what? We'll put up another ace against you. Loses. And the Hutt keeps like setting it up for them to fail and does all these tricks for them to lose. He's cheating the whole time.
I don't remember any of this.
And then finally they go, okay, fine. We'll put up the rest of our crew. It's Kaz and Tora against two of yours in like a relay. And we'll put the Colossus up against it too as collateral. But if we win, you owe us $500,000. And he's like, okay. So they do it, and Kaz pulls it off and wins. And they fucking make out of there with 500 G's and all their pilots intact, and the Colossus still in their possession. It's a ridiculous episode. It was the most recent one. It was episode 9 of the season.
No, episode 9 was the Vox Vortex. That was the one where they go through the asteroid field.
The asteroid field is the race.
Oh, maybe I missed the whole conversation. It's the robots with the circle in their head.
Hold on. I'm starting to wonder if we're watching this.
So then, you know what? I watched Kaz's Curse, which was episode 10. You didn't watch that.
That's what I think. Okay, you skipped ahead.
It looks like the Vox Vortex, for some reason, it didn't play.
Oh my God, you skipped an episode. So that's where you're talking about this whole like...
Ace plan to race a casino hoping for a big win. Yeah.
Yes, I have not seen Kaz's Curse. I saw the Vox Vortex, which was the one with the Hutt. So you skipped an episode. I was so confused earlier when you were talking about that.
You know what? This makes me so happy because like now I don't have to go back and you can start with episode 11.
You skipped an episode.
I didn't mean to, because when I played it, I remember seeing...
You just skipped an episode. You watched episode 10. You skipped episode 9. So technically, we're now going all the way to 11?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, that worked out well for you, didn't it?
Yeah, but the funny thing is when I pushed play, I remember seeing the Vox Vortex 5000, like the title on my screen. So I don't know if when I switched from one spot to another at work and when I pulled it back up and hit play, I don't know if something happened, but I remember that title. So that's weird. But yeah, it does not show that it's played on my Disney Plus. So
all right, well,
I don't feel like so far with your explanation, I've not missed out on anything.
It was not an episode you needed to watch. I mean, right. You mentioned skipping back to the contractor episode. You mentioned that the one where that Nina is her name, Nina the Nikto, who says a distress call. I'm stuck. My ship's broken down. My first
she's the only one that survives. Yeah,
right. And it all looks very fishy. By the way, she is voiced by a gal named Megan Falcone, who's married to Josh Brenner, Niku. Fun fact.
So that's why like there was a little bit of sexual chemistry there.
Right.
I'm telling you, she was trying to throw her alien beaver at this dude.
She was all over it. He wasn't picking up the sign.
No, he couldn't. No, he wasn't. He's not prepared. He's a couple levels higher than Sheldon, if you will.
So she comes on that ship, fixes everything, and little do you know she's doing it with a purpose because she's trying to drain the whole fucking ship.
She fixes it and breaks it. Yeah, she starts draining all the power to the pirates, and then everything's broken. So then he's got to run back around and
break everything, fix everything by breaking everything.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that was the whole thing about she hates pirates because she was taken as a child as a pirate. But now it's basically she's got a price in her head because Tierney's like, okay, so if we see her again, let's go ahead and kill her.
And what's with all the parental shit in this season? Him getting shit from his dad for doing the right thing, and then her I don't know, her parents left her. She was kidnapped. She was raised by a pirate, so she's got a bunch of trauma, but she feels bad for doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons against him because she likes Nico. And then we've got Birthday Girl in one episode. Did you say episode, or did I skip ahead?
No, that's the episode. That's where the mom episode.
Yes. Yeah. And the whole thing is my mom ran out for a pack of smokes and joined the resistance.
It's true.
I get to see her once a year on my birthday. And what's the fucking message here? Some things are bigger than you.
Right. The cause is more important than my family is what they're saying.
Well, I think the girl needed a mom though. Once a year she shows up, and then she doesn't even show up on her birthday this year.
Well, she did, but she was late. Like you said, the Colossus had to fuck off out of there.
Stop
and so
making
she shows up right after.
She's a piece of shit. She needs to go to court.
Then she gets captured. Her name is Vanessa. She gets captured. Tam sees her and is like, I know you from something.
Yeah.
And then she finds out who she is.
She knows her name. She knows Tam's name. She never even met her.
No, I think the idea is that she's met her and or heard all about her because she says to her, Yeager thinks of you as like a daughter.
Yeah.
And that's where Tam's like, oh. Because again, she's got one foot out the door, and Tierney sees Tam kind of being like, "Oh no," when she's escaping later in the episode. By the way, I did appreciate the Astromech torch. I thought that was a good droid addition. That motherfucker, he fucks people up like Chopper.
Oh, you mean the 1990s clear? He had the clear dome.
Yeah,
you could see all the electronics inside him, like my phone I had.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought he was kind of a cool droid.
He was a cool droid.
He fucks people up. I always like a droid that'll fuck people up. But yeah, I mean, I thought at least that storyline had some interest. And by the way, I guess the gal who voiced Vanessa was also the one who did Shaak Ti in Clone Wars, the Togruta Jedi. She was on the council.
Okay.
She had
she had an accent. I could recognize the voice.
Yes.
So okay.
She also voiced Tawny Ames in Bad Batch. I don't know if you'd remember her. She was the governor of that separatist planet when Crosshair and Cody teamed up and went in to get that governor out of there.
Yeah.
She was that.
And he was using all the dental mirrors to shoot his laser.
Exactly. Right. When they get the governor freed, and he's like, kill her, and Cody's like, I don't think I'm comfortable with Crosshair. Bam, dead.
Yeah. Yep.
See, Tam could never do that shit. Tam doesn't have that dark side in her.
No, she doesn't.
She's just joined out of convenience or something. I don't know. It's weird.
It's spite Tam.
Spite. Sorry, spite Tam. Spite Tam. All that being said, difficult first half of the season. I will watch episode 10, but I will not bring it to our discussion next week. But I have some questions for you because I'm thinking about the long-term plan for this show. I know you're not.
For this show, I'm going to tell you the long-term plan for this show, okay? There was a third season that was greenlit. Right?
Was it?
And then
do we know that?
No, I know this. I looked it up. There was a whole third season that was planned, and when the animation crew found out, they all agreed to show up on Saturday at Lucasfilm. They all put on robes, drank purple fucking spatchka, and fell on their fucking swords.
Do they have Nikes on?
Yep.
They're waiting for the Hailbot comp.
Exactly.
Well, so yeah, I was curious if I think we talked about this last time. We're like, did they have a plan for a third season? People have talked about third season. Very few people have talked about third season, but are they trying to wrap something up in season 2? I'm really wondering how the fuck this last half of the season is going to go. Like, are they going to try to bring it into it, like wrap it up in a nice package?
There is no way.
We saw a lot of ties to The Last Jedi in this episode, or at least or this season so far, in at least some of it. How are they going to tie into Rise of Skywalker? You know, like is the Colossus or the Aces going to show up on Exegol as part of the final battle scene? You know what I mean?
No, I hope not. God, no. Here's my hope. My hope is the last shot is the Colossus exploding.
With Kaz inside. Yes. Going, oopsie.
Yeah. I want it to be one of those 3D shots where you just see his head come at the camera.
Well, that's a good question. I was going to ask, who will die? Will anybody die?
I really don't care if they live or die. That's the thing, is like this show is so fucking ridiculous. Like it wants to exist if this show, it could exist without being in the Star Wars universe. Like, I see what you're saying, like they keep throwing these little ties or something, but
right.
It doesn't
separate.
Matter. Like, at least when they had Poe and BB-8, there was a little bit of, like, I'll say so far, I think the fucking first season was a masterpiece compared to the second season.
It really was.
It's like
the beginning of this season has been brutal. Like, it was tough to get through these
episodes. They went into the writer's room at the end of the first season and slit all their throats. And then a whole new crew took over, but never watched the first season. They were just told what happened at the end of the first season. They're like, all right, we'll pick it up from here. Like, hello, hold on. 9 episodes into the second season, still don't know who the spy is.
I think that story is long gone.
Why did it exist? Like, Poe brought Kaz into this and put him on the Colossus to find out who the fucking spy is. And then they drop that thread. It fucking pisses me off.
Couple things. Do you think that Bad Batch, when they were going to write that, they were like, hey, so remember in Resistance how we had like those Mission of the Week things and all that stuff?
Absolutely
Let's do that, but make it way better.
Oh, I think everything was like, you see that Resistance thing? Do the exact opposite.
Well, because there's a lot of Bad Batch feel in some of the stuff they're doing. It's just done way better in Bad Batch.
Right, because they added character development. They added, some darker elements.
More interesting leads.
I don't think they put the color green at all in all of the Bad Batch.
Do you think that Niku, I don't know if you remember this, but in one of the episodes, Niku is like talking about how he's going to leave. Remember, they're running out of supplies, and everybody's like, oh, we're packing up our stuff, we're leaving. And everybody's like,
when Auntie, whatever her name is, going to leave.
Aunt Z, yeah. And then Niku's saying this, and Kaz is like, you can't leave. What are you talking about? And in the end, he realized, no, he wasn't packing up his stuff to leave. He was building this sky, this simulated sky. And I was thinking, is this where the volume came from?
Well, okay, so did I miss something? Because the last shot, you haven't seen the next episode.
Yeah.
The next episode ends like, it looks like the Colossus is like,
don't ruin it,
in a blue sky or something, right? It's So I was telling you about that alien guy who gets the fucking tarot cards read to him.
Yeah.
At the end of it, he's eating his soup. And her whole thing was like, you're going to have a bunch of teeth eating your insides. That's the fortune. She gives no more detail. At the end of it, he's eating his soup, and that little piranha thing jumps out of his soup and like attacks him. He's like, I don't want to die. And he runs away. And the last shot you see is like, it's that marketplace out on the Colossus.
Yeah.
And then there's like it glitches, like the Matrix or some shit. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. That looked like it was like a hologram.
Did it show the sky?
Yeah, there was a blue sky.
That was from earlier in the season, in the second season. He makes this whole thing. He creates this thing to kind of create this, trying to help everybody's mental health, essentially, by putting a sky in place over the marketplace so everybody feels like they're outside because they're not anymore.
Oh my God, I hope this whole thing is like, just like Nico is living in a simulation. Like he's the only thing that's real.
Niku,
yes.
Same thing.
I would appreciate it so much more. Like if like Nico woke up and like Kaz never existed.
He's a battery. He's a human battery or whatever, Nikto battery. All right. I had other questions, but you don't care. So we'll just move on.
Now I'm interested in what the questions are.
No, I was just going to ask you about like kind of the fate of certain people, but you don't care. I was going to ask like, else are we going to, like, who's going to die from the First Order? Commander Pyre, Elijah Wood.
Well, I mean, they kind of have to, right? Because
Tyranny.
we don't. Well, I don't know. I honestly, I think that they finished this show without knowing that there was not going to be another season. Okay. I don't think this show ends with like a conclusion.
All right.
I think it just like we're like, oh, we're left.
I feel like there's got to be some deaths in this season somehow.
Oh, I agree with you, but I feel like there was no way they went into this to make only 2 seasons. I think this got canceled. And then
could have.
They were like, you know what? We'll give you the last season of Clone Wars to fucking replace this shit piece, and then we'll go into the Bad Batch.
And then they hammered it. Last season of Clone Wars was good.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they slit all the throats of the people in the writers' room for Resistance.
Oh my God. Oh, this episode's gonna get a lot of good traction. I can feel it.
Oh boy. That's what I'm hoping for.
Next week we'll do episodes 11 through 19. We'll go ahead and skip 10. I'm going to watch 10, but we'll do 11 through 19.
I'm watching
so
the last episode.
You don't have to revisit it. You're just going to watch the last one?
That's it.
Skip the rest?
Yep.
I just had to fill you in on the rest of the details?
I'm going to have you say, okay, this episode is called this, and I'm going to tell you what it's about.
All right.
And I don't give a shit if I'm right or wrong. Like, I'm fucking done with the show.
We have more interesting things coming down the line this summer, guys. Don't worry. I thought it would be a worthy exercise. I apologize, sir.
It's been an exercise in my mental health.
We're doing tales. We're doing Jedi tales, young Jedi tales next.
Oh, I might enjoy that more. We had an email here, but we never read it. Do you want to do that?
Maul Bag. Yeah, well, this is actually a couple of tweets. I just made it into a Maul Bag because it was long and it felt more like an email. This is from Ken Callenbeck. Oh my God, Ken, I'm sorry. Callenbach is how you say his name. He said, sorry, guys. Catching up now. Lots of NHL draft and free agent podcasts the last couple of weeks. Recasting Phantom Menace. Here are his picks from last week. Remember?
Dewey. I saw these tweets. Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle.
Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle. Sebulba. Oh, so he said Sebulba, Danny DeVito. I was thinking he was saying for Watto because I think somebody else said Watto for Danny DeVito.
Yeah. Yep.
But he's saying for Sebulba. Okay. Jar Jar Will Arnett. I could see
like
that. Too deep of a voice, though.
Have you watched any of the Selfless on HBO?
No, I've not. I've listened to that podcast, but I haven't watched any of the.
It's good. All they do is give each other shit about their food orders. Yeah. And what's the other thing they do?
Well, because they're constantly bugging Bateman about how he eats so healthy and all this shit, and he has to keep everything out of his
Yes.
And then they give shit to Sean because he just eats everything.
Yes. Well, so does Will Arnett. He's like,
does he?
It is so you're watching. You're like, they can't do this for 6 episodes, and that's all they do. If they're not on stage doing the podcast thing, they are giving each other shit about the most ridiculous, benign things. And then Will Arnett is always like, oh, yeah, nobody cares. Oh, it's funny.
They rag on each other so much, which is funny because it's a complete odds with how they treat their guests. They treat their guests like they fucking hung the moon.
Right.
I mean, every guest that comes on, they just kiss their ass.
But that's what I love about it is they have been friends for so long, the 3 of them, that they just I don't know if our listeners, the bulk of our listeners, but watching that, watch it and come back to me and tell me it's not if you were to watch me, Cole, and Grant go on a trip together.
Right. Same thing. Each with your own particular personalities and just digging at each other. Yeah, it's totally that. The first 5 and last 5 minutes of the podcast are that. It's just them bugging each other. How many times does one of them ask a question to the guest and the other one goes, it's like, okay. Fuck. Who else do we got? Padme, Emmy Rossum. Who's Emmy Rossum?
She is Shameless. Emmy Rossum.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
That's a good pick, actually.
Qui-Gon, Gene Hackman. Well, Gene Hackman's done, but I like him as that pick.
Before Welcome to Mooseport or after?
I think it'd be before Welcome to Mooseport.
Yeah, because he quit. He quit because of that movie.
Palpatine, John Voight, that works.
Oh, that's really good. Like Varsity Blues, John
Varsity
Voight.
Blues. Yeah, absolutely. C-3PO, Joan Cusack.
Joan Cusack. I read that as John.
Joan. I think
that's as bad as in Spaceballs. It was Joan Rivers.
Oh, Joan Rivers, right. Yeah. That's right.
That's my Virgin alarm. It's programmed to go off before you do.
Lando, Bryan Cranston.
Okay.
I could see that. Wedge, Keegan-Michael Key. I don't think Wedge deserves Keegan-Michael Key. Owen, William H. Macy. Oh yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
He could kind of do that crotchety old guy thing.
Ashton Kutcher.
Older Anakin Ashton Kutcher. I don't know, man.
I feel he had to have test screened. He was about the age then when what was it? It was
probably was
Leonardo DiCaprio. It was Dawson, James Van Der Beek.
Oh my God.
It was.
Can you imagine if it was James Van Der Beek?
Was it Matt Damon?
James Van Der Beek talking to Kenobi. I don't want your life.
Yeah.
Dooku, he's got Keanu. So we all had Keanu in a different role. I think I had him as Jango Fett, and you had him as Qui-Gon.
Yep.
And so he's got him as Dooku. Shmi, Julie Bowen. There you go.
I like that.
And then he said, by the way, my casting is circa 2003. So that makes more sense with Ashton Kutcher being older.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ken, for sending in a Maul Bag. No Brian Hour Maul Bag this week. Brian, I hope you're doing okay. But everybody, please send factpapod@gmail.com if you'd like to send in an email next week. We'd love to get it. And we love those answering machine messages. If you want to send a voicemail, please do.
Yeah. And you know what? I want every one of our listeners to listen or watch at least one of the last 9 episodes that we're doing.
Why would you make them do that?
They watch one, and then they can write me an email. They can give me the Cliff's Notes.
There you go. That's a great idea. So everybody pick one episode, and even if 2 people do the same, it doesn't matter.
Well, if they tweet us, if they send us a tweet and say, hey, what episode should I watch?
Start a thread.
And there you go. Yeah, we'll give them the episode to watch. They send an email to me, and then that helps me give you the information of the episode.
That works. And did you hear what I said there? I said start a thread. Yeah.
I like that. Elon. Yeah, start a thread. So follow us on Threads or Twitter.
Yeah. Eventually back to Twitter.
Listen, I apologize. I usually am really positive, but I just, part of it is it's fun for me to just go at this aggressively, and I don't apologize. So thank you for listening, and until next time.
Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
We have spoken.